Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 463 of the No Sugarcoating Podcast. How are you? How is your day? I hope you're doing amazing. I'm so happy that you are here. Welcome to all the new listeners, to all those of you that have been here for a little while and a long while. Today's episode, we're going to dive into recovering after a binge. So you binged, you emotionally ate. Now what do I do, right? Because there can be so much shame and guilt and anger, frustration, embarrassment. You can get really hard on yourself. So we're going to talk about some things you can start to do post binge. We're also going to dive into understanding the binge trigger because it's very important that you start to understand what's triggering you to binge if you want to overcome it and, prevent it from happening again, and why self-forgiveness is key. And I know there can be a lot of resistance to that, but we're going to dive into that today. Just before we do, a couple of key announcements. The show notes for today's episodes can be found at amberapproved.ca/. The show notes for today's episode can be found at amberapproved.ca/podcast/464 or below in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. A couple of friendly reminders. We have the 3-part Glorious Gut Health Masterclass happening this week, Feb 14th, 15th, and 16th. It is live via Zoom. They're 3 90-minute sessions if you want to learn all about digestive function, what's at the root of your bloating, your gas, your regular bowels, your puffiness, your low energy, your brain fog, IBS, and all of these things, and why I think IBS is a pool of symptoms that can be fully resolved, then come and join us. It's free. The link is in the show notes to subscribe or below. If you're watching on YouTube, come and join us. We're going to have so much fun. And if you can't come live, you'll get access to the replays. Okay. So come and join us for that. And then if you're relating to what I'm talking about today, if you know you've been struggling with binge or emotional eating or binging and purging for a little or a long time, and you're fighting with your body and your weight, and you are so over and exhausted with the behavior, and you feel like it's ruining your life and ruining your quality of day, then I encourage you to reach out for a complimentary 30-minute body freedom consultation. You can click the link or go to amberapproved.ca, click schedule a consultation. It will prompt you to fill out an intake form and book your session time. And then we get to connect on Zoom and talk about what's going on for you. You get to have a safe space to come and just be heard. And then we can explore going on a journey together and see if that feels like the right fit. So I look forward to connecting. I do want to share a success story today, just really connected to what I'm going to be talking about today. So one of my previous clients, Aaliyah, who I absolutely adored working with, she's absolutely amazing, as are all of my clients. And she says, over 2 years ago, I reached out to get support with Amber to help me heal my relationship with food. I was being triggered to binge on a regular basis, and she was also purging as well. And the holistic approach to healing and experience that Amber had with her own healing, binge eating, and food addiction really assisted me with my own. She shared her experiences with me and could relate to me and my behaviors on such a deep level, which helped me fully heal binge eating as well as the binge purge cycle. Her support, guidance, and accountability helped me build momentum with building trust and awareness with my triggers and understanding my body and her cues as well as my ego. Learning that my ego mindset wasn't the true me and was the voice that I was learning how to take my power back from to build my self-worth was everything. It helped me learn to love and accept my body. It's helped me clear insecurities in my relationship. It's helped me clear insecurities in my relationships so it can thrive, and so much more. It's been a unique approach for me to take that has worked. Having a holistic approach, accountability, and experience that Amber has given me has helped me to get past a lot of demons and self-sabotage. This support has helped me develop into a woman that I always dreamed of being for myself. I love reading those because you get to create yours for yourself as well, and we all get to overcome this. So I wanted to just share that with you. So now let's dive in. Recovering after a binge. So you just binged, you just emotionally ate, you just overate, and now you're feeling a lot of things emotionally and physically. So maybe emotionally, you're feeling guilt, shame, anger, frustration, sadness, disappointment, regret. You're in right, the ego kicks in and it's like, I can't believe you did that. I thought you were done. You weren't supposed to do that anymore. I can't believe I'm still doing this. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just have willpower? Why can't it just be easy? Why can't you just stop and have a little bit, right? There's all that narrative going on. And it's just like, oh my gosh. The physical symptoms, I'm bloated, I'm gassy, I'm in pain, I have reflux, my clothes are fitting tight, my face feels puffy. I feel like brain fogged and tired and overwhelmed and exhausted. I'm not going to sleep well, right? My stomach's sticking out. My cravings are going to be worse tomorrow. I'm dehydrated, right? Like, I know because I know what it used to feel like going through the binge or the emotional eating. And then I know for some of you that are dealing with the purge part as well, that it would just feel even worse after the purge, just a complete drain of energy from the body, even more than if you just binge. And it really drops your frequency. So from an energetic standpoint, like the more we go into a behavior that hurts our own bodies, the more we drop our frequency, we just feel so low and so drained, so exhausted. And there's so much shame around that behavior. And I want you to know you're not alone, and that we want to work on clearing the shame, the guilt, all these emotions, because it doesn't serve you to keep hanging on to this. But what do you feel post binge, post emotional eating? What's going on for you? What are your physical symptoms? What are the emotions? What are the thoughts going on? These would be great journal prompts for you to actually write down so you can build more awareness around this. But what does that all look like and feel like? Um, I think that's the first step, is really building awareness of how we're currently physically and emotionally feeling. And, maybe you feel disconnected, you feel numbed out, you feel distracted, right? Um, it's really important to understand that, because one of the ways that we start to prevent a binge or an emotional eating episode is by being very clear on how we felt after it happened, physically, emotionally, energetically. Okay. So take some time and really reflect on that and write those things down. I think that's really, really important. So once you're aware of how you feel afterward, really gain clarity on those emotions, right? What are your top 2 or 3 that you feel, and why do you feel that after you binge? Why do you feel shame? Why do you feel sad? Why do you feel hopeless? Why do you feel anger, frustration, disappointment? Is it because you feel you let yourself down again? You really thought you were done and you weren't going to go back to the behavior, and now here it is, staring you in the face again? Is it like this fear of, oh my gosh, like this is having such a significant negative impact on my mental, physical health. Like I'm afraid of the health issues I could create and manifest if I keep doing this. Is it, this panic of, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain weight if I don't stop. I don't want to see the scale go up. I don't want my clothes to fit any tighter, right? Just this like feeling alone. I remember when I used to struggle with binge eating, I just felt so alone. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just did this. I'm not telling anyone. I don't want anyone to know. But oh, I just felt so lonely. Because you're post dopamine high and now you're feeling all the physical and emotional symptoms. And it's just like, am I ever going to be able to stop? Like it can feel very intimidating or very daunting to like consider, ever fully overcoming the behavior, because it can get so deep. And not only are we dealing with, getting triggered to emotionally eat or binge, you're dealing with all the emotion afterward. You're dealing with all the physical symptoms afterward. You're dealing with low self-worth, not feeling good enough. You're dealing with body image insecurities, the weight body battle for some of you. You're dealing with, right, like stress in relationships, people pleasing, overbooked schedules. You're dealing with the all or nothing mindset. You're dealing with that darn ego, that negative voice in the mind that wants to shame you and have you feel so horrible for doing what you did, and then wants to try and convince you that the best option is to restrict and go on a diet and quick fix and exercise to fix it, when none of that is actually you facing what has happened and working on what's happened. And it's going to just keep a person stuck in the same behaviors. Okay. But this is all the stuff and much more that is going on. And the longer we've been in the behaviors, the more it impacts our stress hormones, our thyroid, our sex hormones, fuels more inflammation, more bloating, more discomfort, suppresses our immune systems and all of these things. And it just makes us feel very out of control. It makes us feel like our bodies are out to get us because we're having all these symptoms, even though your body isn't out to get you. It's just that when you're in these kinds of behaviors, it's really stressful on the body, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So just to kind of like break some of those things down, because I know what it feels like. I went through this for quite a few years before I started facing it and working through it. So I know how you feel. You're not alone. I'm totally here. And I'm here to tell you that you can shift this and you can change this. And are you willing to take a step to take a different approach and start even just like with these journal prompts and questions I'm asking you in this episode? So you've binged, you've emotionally ate. Now what? Okay. So I think it's really, really important that one of the first things that we do is we catch it as soon as we can. So whether you've just started a binge, you're mid binge, or you've totally finished and you're so full you feel sick, it's so important to then go, okay, I did that. that happened or it's happening, if you're mid binge, like you can stop it. You don't have to go all or nothing, go, well, I've started, so I'll just try again tomorrow. It's like, I really encourage you to challenge yourself and go, you know what? I've started, but now I'm aware and I'm going to stop. I don't want to hurt my body more. I don't want to sabotage more. I don't want to make myself feel worse. You can shift that. There is a mastery in that I find takes time, but if you can do that right away, amazing. If you're in the boat where you binge and then you purge and it's binging that triggers you to purge, I really lovingly encourage and challenge you to not purge, because binge eating is already us numbing, suppressing, self-sabotaging, shoving our emotions down with food, avoiding, distracting, right? But then when we purge, it's the ultimate lack of ownership, the ultimate lack of taking responsibility, because we go, oh, I binged, I'm just going to get rid of it. But all that is doing is a more destructive, intensive behavior on the body that is just going to make your body feel even worse. And of course, there's serious long-term effects to doing that. So being able to catch and stop the purge and own the binge, and that you did it, and that now it's time to try and be nice to yourself and do nice things to course correct what's just happened, is really important. And I know for a lot of you, you might be going, no, I can't not purge. I don't want to gain weight. Well, and honestly, in the long run, you're going to increase your chances of weight gain via following through with the purge, because of how destructive it is on your metabolism, your hormones, your digestive health, how stressful it is, how invasive it is on the body. That is going to do a lot more than if you can binge and then stop and start doing things to course correct. And then over time, the goal is, of course, you understand your triggers, you start to prevent binges, or it's like goes from a binge to emotional eating to just a bit of overeating to just a little bit, and then it goes away. And like I said earlier, if you're relating to this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is me, I feel like you're speaking right to me. It feels like I'm looking in a mirror while I listen to these episodes. It's like she knows exactly what I'm talking about. I really encourage you to book that 30-minute complimentary body freedom consultation. Reach out even to just have a conversation about what is going on for you. It feels so good to just get it off your shoulders. If you feel like it's your dirty secret and no one knows, like, this is a safe space. I'm here to support you. I know what you've been through. I've been there too. I've helped thousands of women. This has been my business for 10 and a half years. You're not alone, and I don't want you to feel like you are. And sometimes one of the most powerful things we can do is reach out and have a conversation, and consider investing in support. Because if you've been struggling with this for years or decades and nothing is changing, or you're seeing a therapist or you're seeing somebody, but it's not getting better and you're not gaining traction, sometimes we need to try something different and take a different approach of it. So many women say to me, like, I've been to the therapist, I've been to the psychologist, and I'm not poo-pooing them, because there's incredible people in every field, and there's crappy people in every field, and people that just can't relate because they haven't been through it themselves. It's no one's fault. However, if the person hasn't been through it, or they can't relate, or you're just going and talking, but then you're leaving and nothing is really improving, regardless of what kind of person you're seeing, I think it's always good to get a second opinion or take a different approach and try something different, because you shouldn't still be dealing with binge eating, 5 years after starting to go to therapy for binge eating. Like, most of my clients overcome binge eating in, like, well, it really depends, but no more than 2 years. Most it's like 12 months. Some overcome it in 4 to 6 months, but it's usually about the 12-month, 18-month span. And for some, there's like little nitpicky things, little triggers that like go to more that like 18 to 24-month mark. But it shouldn't take that long unless you're not wanting to like do your part. But I want to help you overcome it as fast as you can, but of course at a pace that feels good for you. So I just like to share those things, because I get that feedback all the time that, like, wow, like, I saw my therapist for years to help me with this and it didn't. And then I came to do this with you and like, I'm finally free of it. Right. So just know that you don't have to be attached to the person. You can always change it if you feel you're not getting the results, and see them for the other things that they can help you with. So what we want to do after we're aware of like the feelings you're feeling, the physical symptoms, right? Write them down. And now it's time to go into, we're going to do an apology and forgiveness thing. We're going to do that at the end of today's episode. So the first next thing you're going to go into is you're going to go, okay, I did that. I don't feel good physically or emotionally. So now I'm going to start to take some steps to course correct and show my body that I'm sorry, and show myself that I'm sorry. And there's a few things you can go into. So I think number one, if you can put on and do a digestive tea, like a turmeric, a peppermint, a ginger, a marshmallow root, something that's going to start to soothe the pain discomfort that you have. You could also take a digestive enzyme, grate some ginger into some water and sip on it, not chugging a bunch of liquids, but just sips to help that pain and discomfort in the digestive system. I think that can be a good shift, is just small sips. So you can do that physical ingestion. Maybe you want to pull out some essential oils. I always suggest like rubbing like chamomile, lavender, peppermint on your abdomen to help soothe some of the bloating and discomfort. And you can be massaging your abdomen and going like, I'm so sorry I did that. I'm so sorry I did that. I'm going to forgive myself. I didn't mean to. I'm human. I'm learning, right? Like this is the thing, is like, we don't want to hurt our bodies, but we want to chase the dopamine high and the numbing and the like pure euphoric like few moments you have when you anticipate the binge or the emotional eating and then you eat. But we don't like the after effects, of course. And so this is us chasing that dopamine high, chasing the reward. And we don't want to hurt ourselves and feel like crap. But when we're chasing reward, or we're chasing a high, or numbing out and distracting or trying to avoid or shove our feelings down, we are in self-sabotage. And so we are unfortunately going to have to deal with the consequences post binge, post emotional eating, or what I like to call the costs, because they are costs. And there's physical costs, there's emotional, mental costs, there's energetic costs, there's financial, relationship, right? Every area of your life, internally and externally, is usually impacted when you're binge eating. Like when I was binging, I was broke. I had a crappy retail job. My bank account was always in the red. I never wanted to face my finances. I was always arguing with my parents about my finances, right? I hid at home. I didn't go out and date or do anything unless I was below a certain weight. I was spending all my extra money that I had, which wasn't a lot, on binge food. I had like 20 sizes of clothing in my closet because, here I'm a size 4, and then I'm like a size 12, and then I'm a size 14, and then I'm an 8, and I'm all over the place. And it was so overwhelming on every level. So, if you want, you can start a part of your journal is like, what does it cost me to do this? Like, how does it impact me physically with my health? Does it make me bloated, tired, brain fog? What does that look like? What does it cost me emotionally? What does it cost me financially to keep spending money on this and then go to quick fix diets or have 10 sizes of clothing in your closet or whatever it's costing you? What does it cost you with your relationships? What does it cost you with your quality of life? What is it costing you, to hold back in your life because you feel insecure and you don't feel good enough? It's significant. And for anyone that says it's not, there is some, I don't want to say denial, but there is some things to clear, because this has a significant impact on us, especially you and yourself. So get a digestive aid going, get some essential oils, grab a journal, get out for a walk, I guess, depending on the time of day it is. Maybe for some of you, it's like, I'm going to sit and I'm going to write down like what happened, what created this binge episode, this emotional eating episode, what triggered me, which we're going to get fully into the triggers right away, but what's going on there, right? Why did I do that? Understanding what's triggering you is a key part of learning to catch and shift and overcome your triggers and prevent them then from happening altogether. Maybe you then want to like take a bath or a shower. Maybe you want to do a little bit of a hot and cold shower and get your lymphatic system moving, and that will flush out some of the retention from all the salts or the sugars or whatever you ate, right? Maybe for you, it's like, I'm going to explore what triggered me and see if I can figure it out. And then I'm going to go to bed because I just need to sleep. But I was essentially to the point where I would binge, feel so full I was sick, went through the period of binging and purging. But after I overcame the purge part, I would binge until I was so full I was sick. And then I just feel so down and so depressed and so upset that I was like, I don't want to be awake anymore. I'm just going to go to bed and go to sleep, because if I can just like shut off and check out of this even being my life, like that's what I want. I never was suicidal. I never wanted to like do anything like that, but it was just like, I just want to forget this even happened, and I'd go to sleep and check out, and then I'd wake up and be like, oh my God, I did that last night. And then it would just like be there for me to have to deal with and face. And I tried to avoid it for so long, but it just kept making it worse. And then I had to learn how to face it. So I get it if you're in that mentality where it's like, I just want to go to sleep. I don't even want to think about it or deal with it. But it is going to keep coming up, and it's going to keep staring you in the face. So I really lovingly encourage you to deal with it and or get help to deal with it and overcome it, because it's not going to go away if you just try to sleep it off or distract yourself or overbook yourself. It's not going to go away, unfortunately. So we must be willing to start to face it and build awareness and understand it. So another thing after you binge, right, to help you recover and overcome it is to actually understand what's triggering you to binge. So grab a journal, grab a piece of paper, sit down with something you can make notes on. And I want you to reflect and ask yourself some of these questions. Okay, what have my stress levels been like the last few days? Have I had more overwhelm? Have I felt more fear? Right? Have I felt more anger, more frustration? Did stressful, negative interactions happen with people around me? Did I have a stressful day at work or with your kids or whatever it is, right? What were your stress levels like? Because I can guarantee you if they've been high, overwhelm is probably one of the triggers that's coming in. And it may be one specific trigger that you've had, or maybe multiple triggers. And this is where it's important to understand and be aware that you could have multiple triggers hit you at once. And that can be hard to work through, especially if you're not aware of your triggers or how to manage through them. Um, it takes time to do that, but we can, work through multiple triggers once we really start gaining traction with healing our relationship with food. Then next, it's like, okay, did I eat regularly through the day? Did I skip meals? Did I restrict this morning because I binged last night and then my blood sugar surged and I got too hungry and I waited too long to eat? Do I have intensive cravings that are driving me freaking insane? My sugar cravings were so insane that it felt easier to go and give into the craving, but then I lost control, right? And then I overdid it. Did you have one bite of something, or maybe you're at the office and someone brought in Valentine's Day chocolates or whatever, since that is this week. And you had one, and then the ego mind just kicks up and is like, well, F it, I had one chocolate, my day is ruined, my perfect eating is ruined, so F it, I'm just gonna eat whatever I want, and then tomorrow or next week I'll try again. That all or nothing mentality is a slippery slope, but if we don't deal with that and overcome that, that will continue to be a prominent binge trigger for you. See it all the time. I also went through it. All or nothing mentality is so destructive if we don't address it and deal with it. We must address it and deal with it, because otherwise you're dealing with extremes. You're either all in trying to be perfect and eating clean and trying to be in control with food, or you're completely in a loss of control with food, losing control, going, F it, who cares? I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And that just fuels the binge emotional eating cycle. So did that kick in? Did you have the visual trigger come up where you're like, oh my goodness, this was in the house, or I saw this food, I didn't want anything, but then someone brought something in that I really like, that's tempting for me, that is a food vulnerability for me. And then I saw it, I ate it, and then it triggered the all or nothing, or I just lost control. Like for me, when I used to, I always say my crappy retail job, I worked at Lululemon. It served its purpose. But if we reached a certain goal, this is 15, 16 years ago, if we reached a certain retail goal, the manager would bring in snacks, and it was always cheese and crackers and hummus and fruit tray and certain candy. And I'd if that came in, I knew I was going to binge, because I'd have crackers and cheese, which I didn't allow myself to have at the time. And then I'd have that, and then I'd eat a bunch of it, and I'd be like, F it, on the way home, I'm stopping at the organic store. I'm getting this. I've already messed up, so I'll try again tomorrow or next week. So the visual of certain things coming in would always trigger me until I started healing my relationship with food, right? So starting to become aware of what triggered me. Did I get on the scale this morning and I didn't like the number that I saw? Am I so exhausted? And because I'm so tired, I'm in the I don't care mentality, and I'm just like, I'm so tired, I don't care. I'm just going to eat this because I don't care. And then fatigue increases your appetite levels, because when you're tired, you produce more ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone that makes you hungry. Right? So we're already starting to uncover that there could be a wide array of triggers going on. Maybe you put on an outfit and it fit tight. You saw yourself in the mirror and you didn't like what you saw. Someone made a comment. You took something personally. You're stressed about something, opinion of someone else, and you're a people pleaser and you don't know how to, take your power back. You're not setting boundaries. You're overwhelmed. So understanding what your trigger or triggers are is a key pivotal part post binge of sitting down, actually spending some time to look at it. It's important that you start to open your mind and consider taking time to actually look at your triggers and look at what was going on. If you're like, I don't have any time to look at any of it, well, what is going to change if you are not willing to prioritize taking a bit of time to build awareness and understand what's fueling this behavior that you loathe and that you no longer want to be in? We have time to go to the store and buy the food and to sit down and eat it. You have time to check out with Netflix, or mindlessly scroll on your phone, or watch TV, or mindlessly scroll on social media. Right? So that to me means you have 5 or 10 minutes to sit down and reflect. If you really want to change it, you will figure out a way to make time, right? all of my clients always figure out a way, and that's why they overcome it, because they show up and they figure out a way. And a lot of them are very busy and have a lot going on, but they know that this is a detriment to their well-being in every aspect of who they are, and they're so over it and they want to overcome it. So be willing to take the time. I want to challenge you on that. And then what we want to do is build awareness around the trigger, do something kind like essential oils or digestive aid or a bath or a hot and cold shower. And then we want to do some self-forgiveness. So some quick, easy prompts for you to explore. Okay. I apologize to myself because, well, because I didn't realize that I was triggered and then I ate this food and, I know I don't feel good and I didn't mean to hurt my body. So I'm sorry. I learned, this, and this, right? But I apologize to myself because I felt this trigger and then I gave into it and now I feel like crap. What did this experience teach you? Wow. Well, it taught me that, when I get on the scale and don't like the number, that it's a binge trigger, or it taught me that I am a people pleaser and I am expending way too much energy with this, XYZ, over giving to others and not having enough time for myself. Wow, I'm afraid to feel my feelings. Wow, I'm realizing that like this food is a trigger food for me and I didn't realize that. But what did this experience teach you? Next prompt, I forgive myself because. Why do you want to forgive yourself? Forgiveness is key. If you keep holding a grudge against yourself and you keep being hard on yourself, or you let your ego keep being hard on you that you did this, and you hold extreme, shame on you and guilt and like resentment toward yourself, and you hold this experience against yourself, that will become a whole binge eating trigger. And I guarantee you that will trigger you later that day, tomorrow, because you're hanging on. Forgiveness is key to prevent furtherly triggering yourself. And hanging on to these emotions is so dense, it's so heavy, it's so hard on your nervous system, it's hard on your hormonal health, it's hard on your digestive system, it's hard on your psyche. It doesn't feel good. The harder you are on yourself, the more it takes a blow to your self-worth, and the more you want to check out and binge, because feeling shame and guilt and all these negative emotions regularly, it's draining and exhausting, and it's not fun. And so then what do? We want a quick break. We want a dopamine high. We want a pleasure moment. And then you go and binge again. You go and emotionally eat again, because you don't know how else to give yourself joy and happiness and a break from all this other stuff. So forgiveness and letting go of it is key. And if you're like, I have no idea how to do that, I feel resistant to forgiving myself, I can't forgive myself, I deserve to punish myself, like there is deep self-worth work and self-love work to do. This is not natural and normal for us to be in this state with ourselves, but we've been so conditioned to let our ego run the show instead of live more in our power, and to be so hard on ourselves. And it has to do with your upbringing, how your parents were with themselves and with you, and society, and all these different things that we've absorbed into our subconscious mind. But our natural state is supposed to be a state of self-love, self-respect, self-honoring. And when you heal your relationship with food and you forgive yourself, and you start to have your own back, your natural state is self-love, self-confidence, self-respect, and self-honoring. It's like I said in the success story earlier, Leah became and stepped into the woman she had always dreamed of being, because she worked through and healed the self-sabotage of food, right? The body image issues, the weight shame, the body shame, all of it. And you get to do the same. So I forgive myself because. Why is it important to forgive yourself? Because I am actually an amazing human being and I deserve to let go of this and move forward and figure it out, right? Because I deserve to make peace with my body and myself, whatever the reason is. Because you are amazing. It's just that you've been programmed in your subconscious mind to think otherwise. Self-forgiveness is key. We must be willing to forgive ourselves. Holding grudges against ourselves is so hard on the body. And when we hold grudges for long enough, it starts to suppress and create emotion, physical symptoms. Go check out Louise L. Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. But it starts to create symptoms and dis-ease and illness, because we're not at ease. What's the opposite of being at ease? Dis-ease. Very connected. So some things for you to play with and try. If you tried these things, if you're like, I'm doing all that, nothing is working, honestly, I really encourage you to reach out and explore and consider the possibility of getting support, because sometimes we need loving accountability, a safe space to explore. We don't have all the knowledge, and it's good to have someone else who can help us build that awareness and pinpoint things. I have the brain of the addict, the binge eater, the binge purger, the emotional eater. I understand the ego and all these pieces that are going along with this, and I can help you identify and work through each these pieces one step at a time at a pace that feels good for you. So reach out, go to amberapproved.ca, book a 30-minute complimentary body freedom consultation if you want to connect. Also, if you're wondering if you're struggling with binge or emotional eating, you can go to amberapproved.ca and take the free emotional eating quiz, or click the details will be below. And last but not least, just a friendly reminder that the free 3-part Glorious Gut Health Masterclass is this week. So come and join us. You can sign up and get all the details and save your spot to come live or get the replays. I'm sending you all so much love. I know if you're dealing with this, it's a pretty deep topic and it can be really intense, but I just want to remind you, you're not alone. I'm totally here. I've got your back. You're going to learn how to have your own back. You can fully overcome this. If I went from eating out of a garbage can in my crappy little apartment to healing my relationship with food, having a very successful business for the last 10.5 years, having the most amazing relationship and like self-love and respect, and so many things that I always dreamed of having, that the healing created for me, you can have the same. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm cheering you on. I'm sending you all so much love. There's no better time than the present to take action on your health or overcoming binge or emotional eating. So take action now. Have a beautiful day, a great week, and I will look forward to sharing an entire new episode with all of you beautiful souls next Sunday. Take care.